Welcome back, Towners. All right, for this recipe here, we're going to make keto, low carb, spicy chicken bacon ranch pizza. And to start off this recipe here, we have some cream cheese. We cut off 4 ounces of cream cheese and place it to a bowl. I'm going to save that little extra piece there for something else. Added that to our bowl, and to that we added in some mozzarella cheese. Took that and then placed that into the microwave for about a minute. Just do it enough for that your cream cheese and your cheese is softened enough for you to mix it up. To that we added in some almond flour and 1 egg. And then we took our spatula and just went ahead and just mixed all this up together. You're going to mix this up basically until everything is smooth and the cream cheese is consistent throughout the whole cheese mixture, as well as all of the almond flour has mixed in well in the egg. And set that to the side. We took some non-stick baking parchment paper, went ahead and sprayed this with some cooking spray just in case, because this dough here is very sticky. So we scooped out the dough and placed it on top of our parchment paper. Used our hands to basically form the shape of our pizza crust. When I started pressing this out, it basically started to go into a square shape, so I just kept it as that. If you want to do a circular pattern, you're definitely free to do that, or whatever shape you want to make it, but ours went for a shape, for a square, and that's what we went with. You can definitely still use a rolling pin if you do that. Definitely put some parchment paper over top of that, so that way it doesn't stick on top. We then placed that onto baking tray and then cut off the excess parchment paper, so sometimes that tends to burn in the oven. Put that in the oven at 400 degrees to let the crust cook. While that was cooking, we chopped up our additional toppings that we had. We had some rotisserie chicken, some plum tomatoes, yellow onions, some bacon, and some of our homies, the jalapenos. After our pizza crust came out of the oven, this is how it looked. We then took some ranch dressing. That's going to be our sauce or base layer for this pizza. Put down some ranch dressing and a basting brush and spread that around the whole bottom layer of the pizza. Feel free to go all the way to the edge on this if you like. It'll just basically help with the crust of that. We then started to make our pizza. We put down a bottom layer of mozzarella cheese and spread that out around the bottom over top of our ranch dressing. And then we went in and just added all of our additional toppings, our rotisserie chicken, our grape tomatoes, our yellow onions, our bacon pieces, and our homies, the jalapeno. After we put all of our toppings around and spread that out, we hit it off with another layer of mozzarella cheese and then pop that back into the oven at 400 degrees. Basically just enough for the cheese to melt, about 3 to 4 minutes. You can also put it under the broiler, but just make sure that you watch it so that way it doesn't burn. And after it came out of the oven, went ahead and took out our pizza cutter and cut it up into slices. Feel free to cut it in whatever shape you like, square shapes, pizza, or the traditional triangle slices. Took out a slice after it came out, and you can see there a nice little cheese pull. Some of the toppings are falling off of it, but this nice soft pizza crust held nice and firm, and all the toppings are cooked through. And this is how our pizza looked. This is our keto, low carb, spicy chicken bacon ranch pizza. This pizza came out very nice, very nice. All of the toppings are there. You can taste each flavor that you added to this. The cream cheese and the mozzarella added a nice thickness to that crust. The almond flour, it gave that bit of bready flavor to the crust, so it helps with the flavor of that also. Hope you guys enjoy this recipe. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you'd like to make any adjustments or substitutions to this, let us know. Let us know how you like this pizza. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. We have a quick little video for you today. To start off this recipe here is the simplest, but it's just basically bacon. We took out some bacon and put it on a baking tray lined with aluminum foil. This was some thick cut black label bacon. You can use any type of bacon that you like. But we just basically just took the bacon and just twisted it up into twists. You can hold them in place with with toothpicks if you like, but it's not necessary to do so. We just basically twisted all of them up. We only used a total of 6 pieces of bacon. That's all we needed for breakfast for me and my wife. And basically just put them in the oven at 425 degrees. It took quite a little while to do this. It took about 30 to 35 minutes to cook this bacon. Longer than it normally takes to cook bacon, because when you basically put bacon on a bacon tray and put it in the oven, it only takes normally about 10 to 15 minutes. But I guess because it was twisted up, it took a little bit longer for this bacon to cook, and we did have to flip it halfway through. But this is what it looked like after it came out of the oven. That nice color on it. It was still a bit flimsy because it was right out of the pan, but as soon as it dried up and you patted it dry and everything, it did crisp up. This is how our bacon looked after it came out of the oven and it dried up a bit, and we patted most of the oil off that we could. It was nice, crispy, had a nice color on it, and worked great. You can use it as dipping sticks or however you like to use it for. But we did hit it up with a nice quick taste test. I did zoom in, so you did have to look into my eyes. All right, guys, start off this recipe here. We're gonna take our bowl. We're gonna add in 4 ounces of cream cheese. Oh, try to scrape off as much as I can. And we're also going to add in about 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese. Pop that in the microwave for about a minute to melt. All right, this is what it looked like out of the microwave. Now to that, we're going to add in a cup of almond flour and 2 eggs. Let me start mixing it up first. That went well. Let's add our egg in now. I might not need 2 eggs. I might just do 1. Let's mix it up well. Just trying to get this well combined so that the almond flour, there's no more lumps or anything in it. It's nice and creamy now. Smooth, I should say, not creamy. And pliable. It's basically what we want, because we're basically just going to stuff each of these. We're going to flatten this out and just put basically pieces of cream cheese inside it. And yeah, that should work right there. All right, that's basically it. Let's start forming these balls. Let me get some wax paper down. And set this to the side. All right. Let's see how we're gonna do this. Let me just break off a piece. It might be too much, but let's see. Here we have some cream cheese. Just take a piece. That might be too much as well. But let's do a little smaller than that. That's it. Extra dough. extra dough and just wrap it around it. That's all I'm gonna do to it. Make a little ball. And keep doing this. Let me spray this with some cooking spray so it won't stick to my fingers that much. That's basically it. Now, you know I'm gonna stuff some of these with some other things, other ingredients, definitely some jalapenos or something. Let me try that now. Cream cheese in there, some jalapenos, fold it over, that's gonna work. All right, let me just continue doing this and speed this up a bit. We went ahead and sped this section up here. We were stuffing these bagel bites with cream cheese, some with cheddar cheese, and some with jalapenos, and some with a mixture of both. Alright guys, this is how they looked after we finished rolling up all of them. We got a total of 17 of them. Could have got a little more if I'd have made them a bit smaller, but at the end I kind of just started stuffing the seasoning, the cream cheese in there. Now basically going to sprinkle some everything bagel seasoning over top of them and kind of roll them in there to get them over all sides. And pop them in the oven. That's it. Alright, now we're basically going to just take them and place them on a greased cookie sheet for easy cleanup. See if we can get them all on here spaced out evenly in case they open up. I'm gonna try to place them on the sheet so that I kind of know which ones have jalapenos in them or not. But if not, we'll just get a little spice into you. Alright. So here we go. I'll kind of move them around a little better, but got them all spread out in there. So I'll pop these in the oven at 425 and check them out. This is how we're looking before we go in the oven. Here we go. All right, guys, they're out of the oven. Let's put this towel down so I don't burn my cutting board. And this is how they look coming out. 425 for 15 minutes. And they look very nice. Browned up nice. Still hot. Cheese oozing out of some of the cheesy ones. These look really good. Nice crust on the bottom of them. I don't know. I done forgot which ones had jalapenos in them, but it don't matter to me. Let's release some of these up and let them cool off, and then let's get into one. What the heck? You know I'm impatient. Let's try this one. I see a jalapeno right there in that one, so this has jalapeno in it. Let's open it up. Ooh, it's hot. This is hot. Oh man, that's good. Tia, we got a winner. All right, guys. Here are our bagel bites. These came out very nice. This one had the cream cheese in it. But nice, bready. It's good. You can stuff these with whatever you really want. Meat. The everything bagel seasoning works very well. Salt, pepper, onion powder, or granulated onion, garlic. These ain't gonna last that long. These ain't gonna last that long at all. Definitely try these out. Stuff them with whatever you want. I did jalapenos, you know, of course I did jalapenos. Cream cheese, cheddar cheese, you pepperoni, salami, whatever you want. I mean, like I wanted to add the pepperonis, the jalapenos to it because my favorite ones are, if you guys are Auntie Annie's close to you guys, I really love their jalapeno pretzels. I haven't had one in a very long time, but that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make this. But try this recipe out, guys. Enjoy. All right, guys, that was our Fathead Dough Bagel Bites taste test. These definitely came out great. We had them stuffed with some cream cheese, some stuffed with some cheddar cheese, as well as some jalapenos. Definitely see myself doing this again, possibly making some pizza bites out of it, stuffing it with some marinara sauce and pepperonis and mozzarella cheese, or even possibly making some breakfast bites out of them with some scrambled eggs and breakfast sausage. A whole bunch of possibilities with this. But if you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. Today we're making some baked ranch salmon nuggets. To start off this recipe here, we have a pound of salmon. This is salmon fillet. We took our knife and made a slit along the bottom of this. This fish did still have the skin on it. If you want to keep the skin on it, you can definitely leave it there. We wanted to take it off for this recipe that we're making. So to take the skin off, we took our knife and gripped the corner end of it and basically held the knife at like a slight angle facing down towards the skin and just continued to cut along the bottom of the fish, trying not to dig into the fish at all. The skin should come off easily from the bottom of the fish. And this is what our skin looked like after we took it off. We pretty much got all of the skin off of the fish. We had this small little piece here on the bottom, so we just took our knife and cleaned that section up also. And once we got that off, then it was time to chop up our salmon. Once we got that off, we flipped the fish over and basically cut this into about 1-inch cubes. Just made some cuts long ways. Got about 5 pieces out, actually 6 pieces, and then cut it again along the other side, and basically just cut up these into 1-inch cubes. We got about a total of about 24 little pieces of fish. This is about the size of the 1-inch cubes that we have. Once we cut up all the fish, we set that to the side, and we actually just placed it all into a large bowl so that way we can start to make our basically season it. Once we had all the fish into the bowl, we are now ready to season this up. We're going to season it with some Greek yogurt, unflavored Greek yogurt. And then we hit it with some kosher salt, some black pepper, onion powder,
garlic powder, some dill, as well as some lemon juice. And that was everything that we needed to season up with. We then got our hands dirty and mixed up all of the seasoning to coat all the pieces of fish. Now into another bowl. We have a glass bowl here. We placed in here some almond flour as well as some nutritional yeast. I didn't have any Parmesan cheese, so we used a nutritional yeast instead. It does have a cheesy flavor to that, and it could definitely be used as a substitution for Parmesan cheese. Went ahead and mixed this up, and now it's time to start breading our pieces of salmon. We didn't use any egg or anything. We're letting the Greek yogurt do that. So we basically put in our fish into here and just used our breading and coated all of the pieces of fish on all sides. I should have used the two-handed method here where I basically kept one hand clean and got one hand dirty basically. I should have had one hand where I dipped it into the Greek yogurt and fish, and then once I put it into the pan, then use my other hand to coat it. That would have helped me save a little bit of the breading, because I did lose a bit of it because it all clumped up on my hand from my hands being wet. But we got enough coating on all of the pieces. And once we were done, we placed all of our fish on a baking sheet with some parchment paper. And we did go ahead and spray this with some cooking spray. I did not put that on camera. Well, I did spray it with some olive oil cooking spray. Then we popped it in the oven at 400 degrees. This is how it looked after about 8 minutes in the oven, 8 to 10 minutes. We went ahead and took it out and flipped them over. And after we flipped all of the pieces over, we basically popped it back into the oven, sprayed it again with the cooking spray on the other half, and popped it back in the oven for like another 8 minutes. So 8 to 10 minutes on each side, depending on how your oven cooks at 400 degrees. And this is basically what your fish will look like after it comes out of the oven. We then hit it with some Cooking with the Town 2 ranch seasoning. If you don't have any ranch seasoning, you can definitely use like a Hidden Valley ranch seasoning packet. Definitely use that same taste. And we let it cool off for about 3 to 4 minutes, enough for us to taste it. And this is what a close-up of our baked ranch salmon nuggets, or salmon bites, however you want to call it, how they looked. We went ahead and plated them up in a large bowl. I actually hit it with some additional ranch seasoning once I put it into the bowl. And the flavor on this came out great. That ranch flavor popped off well with the salmon. And the flavor on this was great. The nutritional yeast gave up that little cheesy bit of flavor with the almond flour. You don't taste the nuttiness of that almond flour at all on this. The flavor of the fish and everything else, all the seasonings really take over on this. We opened it up. This is what it looked like. And you can see how juicy this fish is. Even after cooling down, it didn't lose any moisture or anything. It didn't dry out at all. This was really delicious. I definitely plan on doing this again. I probably could have put this in our game day food series. I may redo it, but hope you guys enjoy this recipe. We also just topped it off with some ranch dressing and some additional dill on that. But hit us up in the comment section if you have any additional questions or comments. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy.
Welcome back, Towners. All right, to start off this recipe here, we have our bowl. We added in our beef short ribs to this. To the short ribs, we covered them up with some olive oil and then seasoned them up heavy with some kosher salt, black pepper, and some onion powder and garlic powder. And once we added all of our seasonings to that, we went ahead and used the olive oil to help the seasoning coat and stick to the meat. Went ahead and just rubbed that in on all sides of our short ribs and rubbed it in on nicely. This is the same recipe that we use for our rib tips. So same recipe, same cooking style, same process, just using a different cut of meat. For the short ribs, we went ahead and pulled out our air fryer and placed these into the bottom of the air fryer. Went ahead and set this to air fry mode, which is 390 degrees, basically 400 degrees, and put it at the normal start time of 20 minutes. We checked it halfway through and basically shook the basket up to get the short ribs to flip over and get some coating on both sides. And we ended up taking them out at the 15-minute mark. Here's a close-up of how they looked after 15 minutes. They were basically done at that point. When you put them at the very bottom of the air fryer basket, you really don't have to flip them because the air fryer does a good job of cooking them on both sides. If you were to use the little insert to raise them up, you would definitely want to flip them in because they'll be closer to the eating element and they can brown up more on one side more than the other. But at the bottom, they really do a good job doing both at once. So you can flip them if you want, but just check them. And if you want one side a little bit browner, go ahead and do so. Here's a close-up of our short ribs. Got a nice coating on them. You can see seasoning on it, coating crisp and heavy on there, the salt and pepper, onion powder and garlic powder. These short ribs, they pulled off away from the bone a little bit, but that showing that they're fully cooked on that. Got a nice crust on here. Again, it's the same process that we use on our rib tips, same coating process. So, if you guys have any other methods that you'd like to use seasoning wise, go ahead and do so. This is just a dry rub that we chosen to do a nice, quick and easy recipe for this. You can add some cayenne pepper or anything else. Just let us know in the comments on what other seasonings you guys would like to use on yours. Here's a close-up of it again. I'm doing a little quick taste test on that. These are very meaty. These were some thick, meaty pieces of short ribs that we had. And took a bite. Nice pull through on that. Showing a little close-up of it. Didn't really zoom in on it. You guys got a chance to see my eyes on that one instead of the close-up. Sorry about that. But these came out very nice. These short ribs were on special, actually. They weren't on manager special due to being close to the expiration date. They were actually packed the same day. They were just a bit darker in color. They weren't as bright red as the other ones, which again doesn't bother me at all. We went ahead and just brought them home and just cooked them same day. Had a nice little lunch out of them. Hope you guys try this recipe out. Quick little short rib recipe in the air fryer, done in 15 minutes. If you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching.
All right, Towners. To start off with this recipe here, we're going to be making a sandwich, and we're going to be using bell pepper as our base, basically a bell pepper sandwich. So we started off with our bell pepper. We're going to cut it up and take out the membrane, the insides of it, as well as chop up jalapeno. We took our bell pepper and cut it right along one of the segments here. I should have cut it along lengthwise along one of the segments, like basically in between both of those, so that way it can balance better, and I'll show you why later. But cut up the bell pepper, cleaned out the insides, and sliced up our jalapeno. Now we have some cream cheese here. Make sure your cream cheese is softened. I mean, if it's not softened, it still works, but it can help with spreading the cream cheese across the insides of the bell pepper, and not break or crack the bell pepper. And we are seasoning up with some of our Cooking with the Town to Everything bagel seasoning, as well as some of our spicy seasoning. Here is Everything bagel seasoning along with the ingredient listings of that, as well as the spicy seasoning. If you'd like to purchase any of our seasonings, the link for is in the description box below the video. But seasoned up our cream cheese, and now we're going to start making our sandwich. We stuffed a handful of sliced turkey and ham into one of the sides of our bell pepper. And we also fried up some bacon, put in 2 slices of bacon on there. On our right side, we went ahead and took a slice of cheese, folded in half, and placed it inside the bell pepper, along with a handful of baby spinach. Basically just smashing in as best as we can to help place all of the toppings on there. If you don't have that many toppings, you don't have to worry about that, but we're pretty much loading this thing up. Next, we have our homies, the jalapeno, and we're placing that on top of that along with some Roma tomato slices. Now, we top that off with some mustard as well as some sriracha. Feel free, again, to make the sandwich how you want, whatever type of sandwich you like. Go ahead and use those toppings. You do not have to follow this to a T. It's just a guideline to show you different options and things to eat, as I always say. Now is the hard part of us trying to basically close the sandwich up. At this point now, it looks like a very nice open face sandwich. On the left, meat open face sandwich, and on the right, a veggie open face sandwich. But now we're trying to close this thing up. And this is the hard part. Like I said, when I cut it right along one of the segments, when I should have placed it flat and balanced it first and then cut it lengthwise, so that way I know how it would sit. Because at this point, once I put it together and try to put it down, it basically leans and falls over to its side, which is perfectly fine. But, just for presentation purposes and showing you guys what a sandwich will look like, it kind of just keeps falling apart and hard to stay together. But this is a sandwich once we close it up. Look very nice right here. Just a nice, bright, colorful sandwich, like a little big hand grenade of meat. But once we place the sandwich there, now we are going to try to slice it up. And again, we're balancing it. Took the knife and cut it on the diagonal. And normally I don't like cutting my sandwiches in half, but this is one of those times where cutting it definitely helps, because if not, once you cut or just bit into the sandwich, it's kind of like biting into an apple with just filled and stuffed. Everything will pretty much start falling out. You'll kind of be balancing it and trying to eat it and make sure the stuff doesn't fall out. So cutting it in half definitely helps with this type of sandwich. So I don't mind doing it now. So here's our sandwich, cut open, balancing it on the plate. And you can see basically everything inside of it: the cream cheese, the toppings, the meat, jalapenos, spinach, cheese, tomato, everything listed here. So we're going to go in for a quick taste test for you guys.
Welcome back, Towners. For this video here, we're going to be making a cauliflower taco bowl, cauliflower nachos, cauliflower burrito bowl, cauliflower taco salad, however you guys want to call it. People label it a lot of different things, I guess, mainly because I'm putting the lettuce down as the base layer. You may call it a salad, but call it what you want to. I'm just basically using the lettuce and the cauliflower as my chips, so I'm calling it nachos personally. But we have our tray here. We have a takeout container that we're building this and plate and making this in. I ordered some takeout, and they gave me, I guess when they closed up my lid, they had like 3 or 4 containers in one and didn't realize it. So it basically gave me some extra containers. So I just went ahead and kept that and used that as my bowls. I'm like, hey, might as well use that as opposed to having to wash some additional dishes. So we put down some romaine lettuce, chopped that up, cleaned it up, put that down as our base layer, and then top that with some steamed cauliflower and season that with some of our Cooking with the Town 2 taco seasoning. Next, we put down some ground beef. We really season the ground beef well with our taco seasoning, and so that's very flavorful. So that's going to help flavor everything else throughout the dish, so you won't need to add anything else to it seasoning wise. Then on top of that, we put down some shredded cheese, some mozzarella and cheddar, which is basically Kobe Jack. And then we put down some of our homies, the jalapenos. Topped it off with some sour cream as well as some salsa, and then hit that with some additional sriracha. And that was our nachos. Using the steamed cauliflower helped to add like an additional layer of flavor. Again, we're not using any rice or any black beans, so it just helps to fulfill the dish out. And also, if you ever go to takeout or anywhere and order this a burrito bowl or anything like that, and don't use any lettuce, you don't use any beans or rice, it's really small dish. But this is how we made it. This container will not close. It's really filled up to the top. And we're going to go in for a taste test for you guys, and hope you guys try this recipe out. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. All right, to start off this recipe here, we're cutting up some chicken. This here is some leftover chicken breast that we had. You can use fresh chicken breast, fresh cooked chicken. This is just some leftover chicken that we had, so we went ahead and just chopped and diced that up. If you're using fresh chicken, go ahead and season that how you like. And once it's cooled off, just go ahead and chop that up. To ours, we went ahead and added in some mozzarella cheese to that and just mixed that up in with our diced chicken. Now we have our cast iron skillet. We put down some wax paper. I wasn't paying attention. I meant to put down some parchment paper. But we put down some wax paper on there, sprayed it with some cooking spray, and put down our chicken and cheese mixture. Just went ahead and just pressed that down with our hands. If you're using a silicone mat or a cookie sheet or a pizza pan, you can use a rolling pin if you like. But we pressed it out, shaped it up into a circle, and put some Italian seasoning on top of that. And then we put that in the oven at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes. I probably should have took it around 15 to 20 minutes. I left it in a little bit too long. You can see the edges kind of browned up a bit. You basically want to pull it out of the oven as soon as the edges start to brown, because it's going to basically have to go back into the oven and it can darken up a bit more. But we put down some tomato sauce on top of that. We season the tomato sauce with some Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. Or you can use pizza sauce, however you like it. Just put down the sauce of your liking. Then we put down a light layer of mozzarella and cheddar cheese. We then diced up a Roma tomato. So sliced up a Roma tomato, placed that down, and then pulled out some of our homies. Chopped up jalapeno, put that over half of the pizza, other half for my wife. And then put down some pepperoni slices. Go ahead and top this pizza however you like. Put down whatever toppings you want to put on top of it. It's basically a basic pizza. Then we covered it up with another light layer of cheddar and mozzarella cheese. Put that back in the oven on broil for about 3 to 4 minutes. Basically, once the cheese and toppings melt and cook, you're good to go. So it doesn't have to go in that long. Just keep you watching it. This is the final product of how our pizza looked. You can see that the edge portion of it crisped up even more. So it it kind of got a little bit more darker. It's still edible. It's just crispy, just super crispy. But if you don't want that, it's perfectly fine. It flakes off easy. If you just pull on that portion and snap it off, it just comes right off. So you don't have to really worry about that. It doesn't affect the taste or anything on that. We went ahead and cut our pizza up into 8 slices and pulled off 2 of them to take some pictures and everything. Here is a close-ups of our pizza. You see the chicken crust on the bottom, and we have our nice toppings, the cheese, jalapenos, tomatoes. It all works well and works good together on the pizza. I had some buffalo sauce, like some a McDonald's chicken nugget packet of buffalo sauce just sitting in front of me the whole time, and someone kept telling me to use that, but I didn't. I just kept it as is. So you can definitely use some buffalo sauce or some ranch dressing or blue cheese, however you like on that. This pizza came out very nice. It held its shape well, nice. The crust held well. It definitely works as this, different low carb crust that we've used previously, like the fathead dough and even the no crust pizzas. On the ranking of pizzas that we made previously, I would probably say I like the fathead dough still better, just because I guess missing the bread and not having bread that much. I guess it's just, you really want that bread taste. So, but this chicken crust works definitely well also. We took a bite out of it. You can see the crust the pizza's holding the shape well, and it's a nice pizza. So I would definitely go ahead and try this. If you do this, just make sure you check the pizza. Once you see the edges start to brown, go ahead and pull that out of the oven, and you'll be good to go. And top it however you like. If you like this recipe or have any questions or comments, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Alright guys, to start off this recipe here, we have some of our swai fish. We went ahead and took a napkin and patted it dry to remove as much moisture as we could from it. Then went ahead and sprinkled in some of our Cooking with Town 2 Cajun blackening seasoning, as well as some olive oil to help the seasoning stick to the fish. Went ahead and rubbed this in on both sides of the fish. Any spots that were bare or didn't have enough seasoning on it, went ahead and just sprinkled a little bit more seasoning on it, and went ahead and just continued to rub this all in to get all sides coated up. Set that to the side and started to let our skillet heat up. We have our large cast iron skillet here. We added in some olive oil to the pan, enough to coat the bottom of the pan, and then went ahead and placed in our fish. We cooked our fish for about 2 to 3 minutes on the first side. It did start to stick a bit in the spots where the oil had dried up at, so we went ahead and sprayed it with some cooking spray on top of it, and then went ahead and flipped our fish over. Cooked it for another 2 minutes or so on the second side, and after that they were good to go. We were able to go ahead and remove them from the pan. And this is what our swai looked like after it came out of the skillet from pan frying. We then went ahead and started to work on our sauce. Got a bowl here and added to that some mayonnaise. This was actually some olive oil mayonnaise. And also added in some sour cream. To that we put in some lemon juice, some white wine vinegar, and some olive oil. Put in a squirt of sriracha, and then hit it with some kosher salt and black pepper. And also added in a little bit of our Cooking with the Town 2 taco seasoning.
That was everything that we needed to add to this. Went ahead and mixed all this together, and then we started to make our bowl. Went ahead and placed in some romaine lettuce that we chopped up and washed. I have my son helping out, so if you see some additional hands pop in, those are his. I don't have 3 hands. Then we went ahead and got some baby spinach and placed that onto one side of the bowl. Added in some green cabbage. You can use already prepared chopped coleslaw if you like. Also chopped up and added in some red cabbage, or red or purple cabbage, whatever you want to call it. And then went ahead and laid our fish right over top. If your fish breaks up or anything, that's perfectly fine. It's going to be broken up anyway at this point. You can put in, fish will pretty much break in half also. So you can do 1 piece of fish, or you can put with a whole side of it, but however you like to eat it. We went ahead and took our sauce and placed it into a squirt bottle, so that way it's easier to pour it over top. Just for presentation purposes, you don't have to do that. You can just put a dollop of it and just put it on top. But this is going to double up as our dressing for the salad, as well as our sauce for the taco. Now this is what our dish looked like after we plated everything up. This looks very nice, very colorful. The fish taco salad is pretty much everything that you would put in your fish taco, except for having the shell. If you wanted to, you could definitely go ahead and just use some large lettuce leaves, like some green leaf lettuce or some whole romaine lettuce leaves, and just wrap all this up and put it into a taco. So even though you have the lettuce and bowl on the outside, you can do that, or just take bits of lettuce leaves and roll everything up and eat it that way if you want to use your hands to eat it. But if not, you can definitely just do this as a regular salad. This is how mine looked after I doctored it up a bit. You know me, I always got to add some extra heat to it. Threw in some additional cilantro, some of the homies, some jalapenos, and some salsa. I didn't want to add I was going to put some of the cilantro in the sauce, but I didn't add it to the sauce because I thought it might be too clumpy and may not come out of the squirt bottle. But if I weren't using the squirt bottle, I would have added the cilantro to the dipping sauce. But this fish taco salad came out very nice. The fish was nice and flaky. All the parts of the salad was nice and crunchy. Got some heat here from the jalapenos, all the taco flavoring. Didn't add any avocado or guacamole, but you can definitely add that also. But I hope you guys like this recipe and try it out. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to hit us up in the comments section. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy.
Welcome back, Towners. To start off this recipe, we took a yellow onion and we went ahead and peeled it and then rough chopped it into pretty thick slices. We then took the rings and slowly popped them out. We left the middle portion of it intact in some of them because I just felt like it would have been too small to work with them and fish them out. I still cooked them though, but too small to just basically mix them around and get them out. And then we started to make on our batter. We added in some unflavored whey protein, 0 carb protein, some baking soda, baking powder, and some psyllium husk. This is some of our kinfolks and cousins on everything seasoning. They have a on everything, which you basically put on everything, and then they have this new lime pepper seasoning, so that's the one I'm going to use today. We added in some pink Himalayan sea salt and some of the lime pepper seasoning, and then we went ahead and added in 2 eggs, as well as some sparkling water. Then we went ahead and took our whisk and went to town and basically tried to whisk this up as best as possible. The more you whisk, the thicker and smoother the mixture got. Once we whisked and mixed all that all together, we then went ahead and popped in our onion rings into the mixture and moved them around, just basically get them to coat the rings as best as possible. Let them sit in the ring while our oil got hot. Once the oil got up to temperature, we're using some peanut oil here. We just went ahead and popped our onion rings into the oil, and this went very quickly. So just make sure you guys don't walk away when you're adding these in. This is in real time. I sped it up a bit, but it literally took about 1 minute total time to cook these. Like, we were flipping them after I put the first
onion ring in, and towards the last one, but after I put the last one in, I was already ready to flip them and move them over. Just make sure that when you're doing this that you kind of use a two-tong or two-hand method, like use one hand to get the rings out of the batter, and then once they're placed in, use another tong or whatever you're using to get them out, because using the same one, just the batter will just continue to stick to the tongs or fork or whatever you're using, and just add more little bits and pieces to the oil. Just helps it easier to cook and clean with, and helps keep the oil nice. But we went ahead and cooked up all of the onion rings again for about 30 seconds per side, about a minute 15 seconds total cooking time, and that was it. And you know me, I had to pull out the homies. So I had some extra batter left over. I didn't expect to have that much batter left over, because when I was mixing, I was like, I don't even think this is enough batter for all of the onion rings. But after we coated them up, we had about a lot of batter left. So I went ahead and rough chopped some jalapenos, and also just went ahead and threw in a handful of dill pickles, and just went ahead and mixed that into the batter. Let that sit for about 30 seconds or so to coat as much as it could, and then pop them into the oil as well. Those cooked up very quickly as well. Same process as the onion rings. They cooked up for about 30 seconds per side. I let them go a little bit longer because I cut the jalapenos up a little bit thicker, but same process. And went ahead, after they flipped over and they browned up, went ahead and scooped them out. We did have a second batch of these, basically just a little bit left that wouldn't fit into the oil during the first batch, and just went ahead and fried those up as well. And here are the remaining jalapenos, pickles, and a little bits of the smaller onion rings that didn't go into the first batch. Cooked those up and moved those out. Then we went ahead and went for a taste test. Now for the taste test of these came out very well. I was very surprised at the taste of these. After they came out of the oil, we did hit them with a little bit of salt while they were still hot. But they came out nice and crunchy. The only downfall of these is that you got to eat these while they're hot. Once they cooled off a bit, they kind of got a little bit, well, not mushy, but they lost their crunch. The flavor and everything and all that was still there, but it just lost a lot of the crunch as it cooled off. We didn't try to cook in the air fryer from scratch, but after they were already cooked, we did reheat some in the air fryer, and that worked really well. That it brought a little bit of crunch back, but they were still a little bit greasy. Just make sure you pat them dry and get as much oil off as you can while you're drying them out originally from the oil. But these came out very nice. I'll definitely try this again and try this batter. Yeah, the thing about trying this batter on some more things, about this batter that we use, I'm thinking that I could try to do something sweet with it, frying something up, and after it comes out, hitting it with some cinnamon or sugar. But this batter works very well. If you guys have any comments or questions about the fried onion rings, please hit us up. You can let us know in the comment section below, or have you got any questions or comments. But thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. All right, Towners. For this recipe here, we're going to make some mini bunless burger bites. To start off here with this recipe, we have our hamburger meat. This is about 1 pound of ground beef. And we just went ahead and just started to take off some small chunks of it and to form our hamburger patties. The patties are very small here. They're about the size of maybe a golf ball, just flattened out a bit. And again, this is 1 pound of meat. So we were able to get a total of 10 patties out of this. So they're not that big. We got 10 good sized patties out of this. Went ahead and seasoned this up with some salt and pepper. And then after that, went ahead and went straight to our frying pan. We have the frying pan over medium high heat, and just went ahead and added all of our burger patties into the pan. All 10 of them fit pretty easily. I think this is about a 10-inch pan, I believe. But put all your patties into the pan, hit it with additional salt and pepper, and then just let that go. We cooked this for about 2 minutes, I would say, on the first side. And after the 2 minutes were up, all of the patties pretty much were released from the pan. They didn't stick or anything. So went ahead and started to flip all of them over. Once we flipped them over, we let it go on the back half for probably about a minute and a half. The second half cooked a lot faster than the first half, and got some nice coloration on the back half. So after we flipped it that second time, realized that we were good to go. And at that point, just started to take them out of the pan. Now, what I did forget to do was I was supposed to top it off with some cheese at this point. I was supposed to just let the heat from the pan melt that, but I forgot to do that. So I just took some pepper jack cheese and some cheese slices and cut them in 4 and topped them off on top of our mini burgers and just popped them in the microwave for about 15 to 20 seconds, enough for the cheese to melt. And then at that point, we were good to go. We had our cheeseburgers there. So after that, we went ahead and chopped up our additional veggies that we were going to add to our mini bunless burgers. We have some romaine lettuce, some pickle slices, our homemade jalapeno, and some plum tomatoes. So we just went ahead and went through with the assembly process to build these all up. We took the romaine lettuce and placed it at the bottom. Just cut that in half so that way it can fold over and hold this, basically keep its shape, and put that down as our base layer. Topped it off with the burger patty, and then put down a pickle slice on top of that with one of our homies, the jalapeno, and then topped it off with a plum tomato and put a toothpick on top to hold it in place, and then just lined it up on our plate. It was fun to make, but also very easy. The hardest part was possibly making the forming the patties, but the rest of it, 3-4 minutes to cook the burger, to cook the meat, and then the rest is just assembling it and putting it together. Here's the final product of how it looked. The one thing that you can add to it possibly is some dipping sauce. You can make your own sauce or just use ketchup or mustard. I didn't put any sauce on top of these or in the middle of these because I felt that it would be a little bit messy because they're so small, but you can definitely put them on the side as a dipping sauce. But I definitely want to try these again with possibly chicken or ground turkey, just play around with some more flavors and different ingredients to see what else we can do with this. But I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. I definitely did. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Here is our mini bunless burger bites, our bunless sliders. Hope you guys enjoy.
Welcome back, Towners. All right, to start off this recipe here to make these mini pizzas, we have some Mission Carb Balance low carb tortilla shells. We're going to use about 2 tortilla shells for this recipe. Each shell is 4 net grams of carbs per shell. We have our shell here, and we took out a glass cup and basically tried to squeeze out, push down through it to cut an indentation in it to cut out a circle pattern, but it wasn't working. The edge of the glass cup wasn't sharp enough, so we had to basically rip it off. So we ended up getting a plastic cup that had a sharper edge around the tip, and that would make it a lot easier to cut out a complete circle in the tortilla shell. Depending on the size of your shell, you may get more rings out of it, but 6 was enough for what we were doing here, based off the size of these shells. After we cut off the tortilla shells, we got our cupcake liner and sprayed it with some olive oil cooking spray. Pushed down each one of our mini pizza shells into each one of the ramekin holes. And then we got out some tomato sauce and put about a spoonful into each one of our little pizza bowls. So after we filled them up with the tomato sauce, we then got out some mozzarella cheese. Feel free to use the cheese of your liking. We're using mozzarella here. Filled up each one of the shells with some cheese. Now you can add whatever toppings you like on yours. Here we just we had some remaining leftover diced onions. We just put that on 2 of them. And then we've got some pepperoni slices and mini pepperonis. We put that 2 of them on each one of our pizza shells. And then, we had to pull out the homies, put some jalapenos on about 3 of them. And then topped it off with some additional cheddar cheese so that it can melt over top. And that's it. Once you have the pizza made, we pop this into the oven at 425 for about 5 minutes just to get the cheese and the pepperonis and stuff to melt and cook through, and the jalapenos will cook. After they cook through, we then put the broiler on high for about 2 minutes just to brown up everything, and then they were good to go. This is how they looked after they came out of the oven. And once they cooled down a bit, we took a knife and just ran it around the sides of the cupcake liner.
The only places that it kind of stuck at is spots where cheese kind of stuck, or we didn't get it all the way inside the shell, so it kind of stuck to the side of the liner. So we had to scrape that around a bit just to get that off. But once it cooled off and the cheese melted up, it basically popped out really easy. This is how our it looked. You can see it on all sides, and the mini pizza really held its shape well. It crisped up, especially if some of the pepperoni got along the side. That kind of helped with the grease to help crisp up the tortilla shell. But just toasting it first before we didn't just go straight full blast of the broiler. And it held the shape well. Please try out this recipe. If you have guys any questions or comments, hit us up in the comment section below. And hope you guys enjoy this recipe. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. All right, to start off this video here, we have some extra thin shaved ribeye steaks. This was basically a steak that they just cut up really thin, so it cooks up really quickly. You can use this to make tacos like we're gonna do with it. This meat can also be used to make like Philly cheesesteaks, or if you're making pho. This is the same meat that they use when they basically dump it into the broth and cook it with the hot liquid to just cook the meat up enough to where you can eat it with. But it cooks up very quickly. So we basically just put all of this into our frying pan over medium-high heat and hit it with some just basic simple salt and pepper, and cooked it up for about 45 seconds to a minute on each side. And after that, it was good to go. And we cooked all that up. When that finished cooking, we went ahead and chopped up our veggies. In the same pot that we cooked the meat in, just put in a little bit of unsalted butter, and then added in some red onions, some bell peppers, and some of our homies. You know we have to use that. And just sauteed that up for about just a minute or two, just enough for them to become softened and get a little color on them. And that's it. Loaded that all onto a plate, and we're good to go. We added that onto a serving plate. Well, for the portion that I had, I didn't eat the whole thing, but the plate I made for myself, we basically just added all that onto a plate, the meat and the veggies. Added some additional cheddar cheese, sour cream, and salsa. And I also took some romaine lettuce. I took about 3 leaves of romaine lettuce and washed that off. And after cleaning it up, I just basically sliced it in about 4s. So from that, you get about 10 to 12 little lettuce leaves that you can use to roll up to make mini tacos, which is what we did here. And, just sit there, use my hands, and, made the little taco, add a little bit of meat, add a little bit of cheese, some salsa, sour cream, jalapenos, and you got yourself some mini tacos. You can play around with it and mix and match and make the tacos however you want to make them. But this definitely works. It's a quick and simple recipe to go to because the meat cooks so fast. All you're really doing is chopping up the veggies. So as the meat's cooking, you can chop up the veggies, and you can pretty much have this done in really about definitely no more than 10 minutes. Just pretty much working with the prep work of that. But try this out with this. You can also probably do this with some thinly. Well, I don't know if you can get chicken that thin without it falling apart, but try it out with some chicken, or fish, or any other recipes or meats that you want. But on this one, we're using this thinly sliced steak to make these mini tacos. You can also go through the route of using these as appetizers to make mini tacos. Just like we did to make them, but as you can see in the next slide, I tried to roll up about 4 of them in like a platter style on my plate just to see what it looked like. And you can do that, but I think if you were to do this for mini tacos for like appetizers or something, I think it would be best to just present all the food separately and let people make them themselves. Because if you try to pre-make them, it may get a little bit messy and the food may start falling out and may not look as well. So in my eyes, I would say to do that in separate containers and let people make them themselves. But I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section. And as always, thank you guys for watching.
Enjoy.
All right, Towners. To start off with this recipe, we first started off by taking some pork rinds and putting them in the blender and basically pulsing them up really quickly to grind them up into breadcrumbs. This can also be done in a plastic bag or with your hands, or just use whatever method you want to get them as fine as you want. We then took a jalapeno and diced that up, finally diced that up as best as we could. Did the same thing with some pepperoni slices. Once those were all cut up, we put them into a bowl and added in some Italian seasoning, some cheddar cheese, mozzarella cheese, as well as some cream cheese. We then took that and popped that into the microwave for a minute. And this is how it looked after everything was heated up. We added in some crushed red peppers and took our spoon and just started to mix everything together, just basically combining all of the cream cheese and cheeses together with the seasonings. Now, we have our bowl of breadcrumbs. This is, it took us about 3 batches of breadcrumbs to get this amount in our blender. We took our cheese. The cheese was still warm at this time and very pliable. We just pulled off like a handful of it and added into our breadcrumb mixture, our pork rind mixture. Went ahead and just squeezed it in a little bit to get the breading to coat to the side of the cheese. We didn't use any egg or anything on this one. The cheese was super greasy from the cheese as well as the pepperoni that was in there. So it had a nice coating around it. So I didn't feel that we needed to add egg. If we added egg, I think it would have gave it a thicker coating around it, but it's definitely not needed. You can get away without it. We went ahead and made the rest of our pizza cheese balls, and we got about a total of about 22 to 23-ish balls, depending on how big or size that you make these. Will depend on how many you want. You can make the shape. You can see some of them on the left kind of spread out a bit. The ones right in the middle. You can kind of try to make them into cheese stick rolls, but make them whatever shape you want. We popped them in the air fryer and hit them with a little bit of olive oil cooking spray. And I just prayed that they didn't fall apart and turn to goop in the bottom of the air fryer. We popped them in the air fryer on air fry mode, which is 390 degrees for a total of about 7 minutes. I got a nice browning around the outside of them, and we're good to go at that point. Had a little bit of hard time to get them out of the air fryer because they were a bit soft. I should have let them sit in there to firm up a little bit, but I took them out immediately, and some of them broke up on me. But here's a close-up of how they looked. Nice crispy coating on the outside from the cheese. And the cheese held. It didn't ooze out. It just came out on the sides of them when I squeezed them to try to take them out of the air fryer. But it busted one open real quick, nice and cheesy. You can see all the toppings inside, the jalapenos and everything. These came out great. Let's go in for a quick taste test.
All right, Towners, here we go with our taste test close-up. Let's do this one. Getting close-up of it. Break it apart. It's soft. It's a bit soft because it's just straight cheese and breadcrumbs around the outside of it. So the breadcrumbs just basically helped it to keep its shape. I'm glad it didn't fall apart in the air fryer, but oh, this is good. This is good. Cheese, you get the creaminess from the cream cheese, spice from the jalapeno peppers, and you take the pepperonis in there, and then you get the not breadcrumb, but pork rind outside. This is good. Oh, this is not gonna last long. Yes. Yeah, it's literally a cheese with pizza toppings. Dipping sauce. Use some marinara or pasta sauce, tomato sauce. But I can see these being made with a bunch of different things. I can see this being made with breakfast items, stir in some eggs, sausage, and then coat it like that. You can do hamburger meat. You can do taco settings, just taco filling. I see a lot of different combinations with this. I do also want to try this with almond flour. See if we can keep it like straight vegetarian instead of using the pork rinds. Same process, just maybe cheese, veggies, and some almond flour. Just try the almond flour, just see how that will hold. But I didn't use an egg on this, so that worked well. The egg may have helped crisp it up a bit more, get a better coating shell around it. But the cheese didn't ooze out, so I'm not really that worried about it. But these are really good. I definitely
Definitely enjoy these. Some of them broke apart when I was taking them out of the air fryer, like this one, because they were super soft. I maybe could have let them firm up a bit. Or you don't have to use the air fryer. You can probably also do this in the oven or pan fry it. Get a nice coating on the outside, but these will definitely be remade in my household. Try it out, guys. Pizza bites, pizza cheese. What do you want to call this? Mini pizza cheese bites. They're good. Enjoy, guys.
All right, guys, that was our taste test. Hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you have any questions or comments, as always, please feel free to hit us up in the comments section below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. Start off this recipe here to make our salad in a jar. We're starting off by basically just chopping and cutting up all of the veggies and everything that we used in our salad. So to start everything off, we had one head of romaine lettuce that we chopped up. Went ahead and pushed that off to the side in the bowl. Next, we have our peppers. We have here some mini sweet peppers as well as a jalapeno pepper. And just push that off to the side as well. Here we have a yellow onion. We're basically going to cut off about a quarter of yellow onion and peel the skin off of it, dice it up, and continue the same repetitive motion of dicing it up and pushing it off to the side. Here we have a chicken breast that we cooked and seasoned up. You can use leftover. You can just cook up a chicken breast and dice it up. But dice it up into whatever size, bite-sized pieces that you like for your salad. We also have boiled 2 eggs and cut that up as well. So slice both of those up, push those off to the side also. And now we have our mason jars. We went to the Dollar Tree and picked up these mason jars for $1. Just wanted to get something with a lid and that's big enough that it will hold the salad that we're going to be using. So now we're going to add in our dressing. The first one we put in some Italian dressing. The second one we have some G. Hughes Asian miso dressing. And the third one we have some ranch dressing. We went ahead and squeezed in that into the bottom of the jar for our base layer. Then we put in the chicken that we had already previously chopped up. Then started to just layer everything else that we diced up. We're putting in our lettuce, some diced onions, our mini sweet peppers, the jalapenos. Next, we put in the hard-boiled egg. And then we topped everything off with some additional spinach. After we put everything in the jar, that's basically it. You're good to go. Put the lid on top of that. Place it in the fridge or put it in your lunch bag to go or your pocket and keep it going. I forgot to add cheese to this. I wanted to add in some cheese. I had some feta cheese, some blue cheese crumbles, as well as some cheddar cheese. I forgot to add that to the top of the spinach, but you can definitely just pop the top on it and just put the cheese into it and place it back on and keep going. This is what our mason jar salad in a jar looked like after we put everything in. If you wanted to strategically, with like a toothpick or some tongs and just strategically place the jalapenos in a ring around the side or the onions in this perfect spot, you can definitely do that. That didn't that didn't bother me at all. I just dumped everything in a specific layer. You basically just don't want the lettuce to be touching the salad dressing. So you have the chicken as that buffer in between them to keep it not from getting mushy. These definitely came out great, and I'll definitely be doing these again with some additional flavors or additional meats or food. Hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you have any questions or comments, please hit us up in the comment section below. And let's get to these game day picks. Go Raiders. Welcome back, Towners. To start off with this dish, we have our cast iron skillet, and we added in some oil. Then we chopped up a large onion and added that to the pan. Sauteed that up for about 30 seconds or so over medium-high heat. While that was sauteing, we went ahead and chopped up 2 whole jalapenos. For the heat, we wanted to keep the seeds in, so we added we wanted all that flavor. So we added the jalapenos in, some of our homies, and I went ahead and sauteed that up as well. After we sweated that down a bit and it became translucent, after about a minute or two, we went ahead and added in our ground beef. Basically, added the ground beef. So this is about close to 2 pounds, about a pound and 3/4, and just chopped all that up and just continued to break down that meat. And once it was all fully cooked, we went ahead and drained it, got all of the hamburger meat out of the pan, and then went ahead and drained the fat out. After we drained the fat from the pan, we added our hamburger meat back into the pan. Once it was back in, we went ahead and spread everything out, and now it was time to start to season it up. We went ahead and hit it with some kosher salt, some black pepper, some onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, some paprika, cumin, and some oregano and some thyme. Oregano and basil. And then we went ahead and mixed all this in together. After we fully mixed everything up and got the seasonings well combined with the meat, it was now time to make our sauce. We went in and added in 1 can of tomatoes, as well as a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies, and then we added in another can of green chilies. I wanted to get that southwestern flavor deep into this dish. We then went ahead and added in 8 ounces of cream cheese, and went ahead and just stirred that into the meat. It's best to use a cream cheese room temperature, but this one, it was straight out of the refrigerator, so I just stirred it up into the meat and let the heat soften that up and let that go for about 30 seconds or so. Once that started to really cook in, we went in and added in some sour cream, and then topped that off with some mozzarella cheese. Let that go for like 30 more seconds, and once everything was nice and softened up, we went ahead and stirred everything in, and everything broke down really well. You can see the cheesiness of everything melting together, sour cream and cream cheese melting and breaking down, and changing the color of our dish from the reddish brownish mixture from the meat and the tomatoes to this lighter color. The more sour cream you add to it, the lighter it will be, but the lightness of it really doesn't affect anything. It's just how you want your dish to look and present. But this was a nice flavor looking for us. You can add cheddar cheese if you like to it. We went ahead and just kept everything with the mozzarella. Once everything was mixed in together, let that cook for about another minute or so. And once everything was heated through and warmed, you're good to go. You're ready to serve this dish. You can see this is nice and cheesy, stringy. This was our final product. This is how the dish looked. It's still in the skillet at this point. It came together well. It's very quick to do. The longest time that you're really waiting for is the time to brown the meat. Everything else heats up pretty quickly. The onions, jalapenos, and the tomatoes and peppers, you're just basically adding those to it. We placed everything into a glass dish. This dish held about, this is about a 2.5 quarts dish. This is a lot of sauce. I didn't realize how much sauce actually we made, how much dip. But this came out very nice. I really enjoyed this. We went ahead and hit it up with a quick little taste test. Dipped in some, you can use whatever finger foods or you want to dip with it. We went ahead and used some celery. We also tried it out with some pork rinds. You can use some carrots. If you're not doing keto or anything or low carb, you can definitely do tortilla chips, or you can go ahead and use some low carb wraps and fry those up. Or bake those up and use those as your chips. The taste of this came out very nice. We have all the flavors and components of a taco recipe for the the tomatoes, the jalapenos, onions, the taco seasoning mixture, sour cream, all that. You can definitely top this off with some salsa, but this tastes very much just like taco meat, which that's pretty much what it is, with all the extra cheese to it. But
We had this just regular dipping it in and eating it. We also topped this off on some hot dogs. I mean, the flavor of this it kind of transforms a bit, even though it's Mexican flavored. It kind of reminds you a bit of a chili. It can definitely be used as a chili dog topping or anything like that. You can just use this for multiple things, not just using it just as a taco dip. But you definitely try this recipe out, guys. I'm trying to figure out other ways that you can use it, but there's a plethora of different ways you can use this dip. Go ahead and try this recipe out. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. To start off this recipe here, we have our skillet over medium-high heat, and we added some olive oil to that. We added in our carne asada steak. We picked this up from Walmart. It's about 2¼ pounds worth of meat here. We went ahead and broke it up. It was a bit hard here because we had it in the freezer, so we were letting it defrost a bit before we popped it in the pan. But after it was able to break all the chunks up, we went ahead and seasoned this with some kosher salt and some black pepper, and mixed everything together and just let this go over this medium-high heat for about a good 2 to 3 minutes or so, just mixing it up every so often. A lot of the liquid started releasing out of the meat. At that point, we went ahead and chopped up half of a yellow onion and added that to the steak and just continued to mix that up. We let that go for about another 2 to 3 minutes for it to get about almost 85–90% done. At that point, we got our Cooking with the Town 2 taco seasoning and added in about 2 tablespoons worth of seasoning to the meat. After we added the seasoning to the meat, we mixed everything together, mixed all the seasoning in with the meat, and then basically just popped the lid on top of the pan. We didn't add any water or anything to that. I didn't want this meat to be like the soggy, wet kind of meat that you have when you make taco meat with ground beef. I wanted it to be kind of dry and firm for the tacos. So I just let the heat from the condensation and the steam from the with the lid on low, let that cook through and add a little bit of liquid to that. Then we let that go for about 2 more minutes and just stirred everything together and scraped the bottom of the pan to get all those bits and goodness from the bottom of the pan. And at that time we were done. We're good to go. Here's a close-up of the steak and onions. Next, we also had some leftover chicken. This was just some chicken strips that were like plain flavor. They weren't really seasoned. So we just added them to the skillet, same skillet after we removed the steak out of it, and hit it with another tablespoon of taco seasoning. This time we did add some water to it and pop the lid on it, let it go for about 5 to 7 minutes to reheat. Once all the liquid dried out, it able to really coat the chicken well. So that's how we had our steak and chicken for that. Now to make our tacos, we have some carb balanced low carb tortillas. Each tortilla shell is about 2 net carbs per shell. And we went ahead and made 2 steak tacos and 1 chicken taco, and went ahead and added all of the toppings that I wanted for it. We put down some cheddar cheese, some spinach, topped it off with some salsa, a dollop of sour cream, chopped up some of our homies, jalapenos, placed them on top of it, and then sprinkled some cilantro over top of that. And that was it. I would have added some onions to that, but I already put that into the meat, so I would have mixed that up with the cilantro, but good to go. Here's the final product of how our dish looked. Came out great. I mean, you all know what tacos taste like, and these definitely fit the bill for game day food. In my preference, I'm from California, so I love tacos. But I hope you guys enjoy this recipe, and welcome back, Towners. All right, to start off this recipe here, we have some mini sweet peppers. We have about 5 sweet peppers here, 5 or 6. This is going to be basically equal up to about 1/4 of a cup of sweet peppers. Just went in and diced those up finely. Then we put out 2 of our homies. We got to get some jalapenos in there. So we went ahead and chopped up the jalapeno. We did a rough chop on this. Probably should have went fine on this. You'll see later that the jalapenos are kind of poking in and out of the meatball. So a nice fine chop would have maybe done a little bit better, but it still worked out fine. We then took a bunch of parsley and chopped off the
the stems of it, and then just cut off all the leaves, chopped all that up, and then added all this to a bowl. Now, went ahead and pulled out a can of petite diced tomatoes. We were out of Roman tomatoes or anything, so we just went ahead and used what we got. You know, you gotta use what you got all the time. So we just went ahead and used the diced tomatoes here in a can. Then we added in about 2 pounds of ground turkey. Then it was time to start seasoning everything up. We went ahead and hit this with some kosher salt, some black pepper, the rest of the usual ingredients, onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, paprika. And we also went ahead and added in some Italian seasoning to that. After we added in the Italian seasoning, we went ahead and cracked in an egg. And at that point, we had all of our seasoning in. We just went ahead and started to mix and started to combine all these ingredients up. We had a lot of stuff in this bowl, so wanted to get the mixing process started. Then we went ahead and added in some almond flour as well as some Parmesan cheese. And this is pretty much everything that we needed to add to it. So we went ahead and just started to mix all this together. Basically wanted to get all of the ingredients combined, as well as to get all the almond flour and Parmesan cheese fully combined, so it's not gritty or anything, no loose granules anywhere in the bowl. Once we got all that combined, we went ahead and took our jalapenos and placed those pretty much on the top half of it. We're going to just slowly incorporate those into our meatballs. Took out a baking tray and sprayed it with some aluminum foil just for easy cleanup and so that nothing would stick to it, and started to roll our meatballs up. We put in before we started to roll our meatballs, we put in about 2 tablespoons of oil, olive oil on top of the meatballs, and that really helped us with rolling the meatballs up. It didn't gum up or any of it, didn't stick to my hands or anything. It just really rolled off fine, so it was easy to roll these meatballs. And we just slowly, randomly just grabbed some of the jalapenos that we set on top to form them. So some of them have jalapenos in them, some of them don't, but it was easier for me to manage them with just putting them on the side as opposed to just mixing them in with everything, because my kids and my wife might eat some of them, so I didn't want to burn their mouths or anything. It'd be too hot for them. But we went ahead and made all of our meatballs. We were able to get about 40 or so meatballs out of this mixture. We went ahead and popped that in the oven at 350 degrees. And we let that go for about 55 minutes. Nice, low and slow. It didn't dry out or anything. You can see all of the fat that came out of the meatballs. We let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes after it came out of the oven. Some of that fat congealed at the bottom of the pan, but they still came off easy release from the pan. Here's a close-up of one of the meatballs. Went ahead and opened it up. You can see nice, juicy inside, still flavorful, not dried out or anything. You can see like the large chunks of jalapeno inside the meatballs. Some of them they're just actually just sticking out the side. So that's why I said I think it would have been better if I would have did a fine chop on the jalapenos. It doesn't bother me at all. It actually helped with me noticing and picking out which one of the meatballs had jalapenos in them, so that way I could better not give them to my kids or anything. Even though I'm still trying to slowly incorporate jalapenos into them to help build their palate up, to get them to eat. My son, every now and then he likes jalapenos, but every now and then he'll be like, it's too hot. My daughter, she just ain't having it. But here's a close-up of our meatballs. You can see all of the flavor. You can't see the flavor, but you can see all the ingredients all throughout. The parsley, the tomatoes, everything in here. I was surprised how well the tomatoes held up. I thought they would turn to mush or anything being diced from the can, but they worked out well. Now we're going to hit you guys up with a taste test. Welcome back, Towners. We got our turkey meatballs here. Here we go. Here's a close-up of, actually, go this way. Here's a close-up of one of the ones with jalapenos in it. And these came out nice. Quick and easy to make. Basically, kind of like a mini meatloaf. A lot of all the stuff that we have stuffed inside of these. A lot of flavor. Stay juicy. Got some jalapenos and mini sweet peppers in there. I didn't have any onions, so I just used onion powder. I didn't have any onions or green onions. I would have used either one of those, but I just went ahead and just used onion powder. No biggie. you don't have something, you can still make the dish without one of the main ingredients. You can make something else to make up for that. But these meatballs are good. I'm gonna try this over some marinara sauce somewhere. You know what I do? I might use some lettuce wraps and make a meatball sub out of this. These things are good. Bottom half, I didn't flip them over. I just kept them on one side the whole way through. So the bottom half doesn't have that much color on them, but they're cooked all the way through. Yeah, these are good. These are good. I'm gonna knock these out. Try these out. Turkey meatballs. Now that was our taste test, guys. Like I said, these meatballs came out great. Hope you try this recipe out. Feel free to add whatever ingredients that you like to fill your meatballs with to help keep it full and flavorful. If you have any questions or comments, as always, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. All right, Towners. To start making this cauliflower nachos, we took a whole head of cauliflower and cut all the florets off of the stalk. Went ahead and cleaned them all up. Sliced some of them in half. Some of the cauliflower florets were really large, so we just basically cut them in half. You can also quarter them if you like, but just trim them up to the size of your liking for your nachos. After that, we went ahead and took them and rinsed them off under some water with the colander and patted them dry with some paper towels. From there, after we patted them dry, got them as dry as we could, we just went ahead and put them in the refrigerator for about an hour and a half, just to dry out uncovered, just straight into the fridge until we were ready to start cooking with them. Once we took it out of the refrigerator, we hit it with some olive oil and then some of our Cooking with the Town 2 seasonings. If you don't have any taco seasoning, you can make it yourself with onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, paprika, cumin, basil, and oregano, and just mix everything together. Once you have it all coated and your cauliflower florets coated with your taco seasoning and your oil, go ahead and place them on a baking dish. We went ahead and got some aluminum foil, sprayed it with some cooking spray, and put all of our florets down. Try to space them out a bit so that none of them are touching, and that way you can get some good airflow around it. Here they are after 15 minutes. We cooked it for 30 minutes at 400 degrees. This is how it looked at the halfway point. Took them out and basically flipped them all over to get some more browning on the other side. Popped it back in the oven for the remaining 15 minutes. This is how it looked after they were complete, after 30 minutes in the oven. Go until you get your crispiness. The big ones are going to hold their shape well. They're not going to turn to mush or anything. So get as much color on them as you want, and you're good to go and ready to start building your nachos. So after we took them out of the oven, we went ahead and just basically pushed them all together into a large pile. We're basically just going to just form everything right here on this cookie tray. While the cauliflower was cooking, we did go ahead and browned up some hamburger meat. We hit the hamburger meat with the same seasoning, same taco seasoning that we put on the cauliflower, so everything's uniform. Brown up that meat and then pour that over top, about a quarter of a cup or so, or half a cup of meat. Put that over top of them, and then sprinkled over some cheese. Use whatever cheeses you like, Monterey, cheddar, Colby Jack, whatever mixture you want. And we popped that right back into the oven for about 3 to 4 minutes, just basically enough for the cheese to brown. You can just also put it under the broiler and you're good. Went ahead and took one out to see if cheese was able to get a good cheese pull on that. Then we just hit it with our additional ingredients, some cilantro, green onions, some jalapenos, added some diced avocado on there, and then added on some salsa as well as some sour cream. And this was our nachos. These cauliflower nachos came out really good. The cauliflower florets work great. Mild flavor, don't overpower anything. And these were basically some of the healthiest nachos I've ever had. Definitely try these out, and add whatever meats or veggies you want. You can do it without any meat at all. You can do it just straight veggies. Or if you want, you could chicken, steak, whatever toppings you want for that. But here we go. All right, Towners. Here are our rib tips. We basically took all the rib tips and just lined them up on a baking tray. And we're going to hit it up with our seasonings. We went heavy with some salt and pepper, and then added in some onion powder, garlic powder, some chili powder, paprika, and some Italian seasoning. We then went ahead and flipped those over and just repeated the process on the other side. Same seasonings: salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, paprika, and Italian seasoning. Once we finished seasoning everything, we let those chill out while we went to the grill and got that preheated and everything. Added all of our charcoal to the grill and put all of the charcoal into the middle of our grill grate, so that way on the left and right sides of the grill we had indirect cooking, and allowed the grill to get up to temperature and cleaned it off, so it gave us time for our meat to marinate for a quick second. Put all of the meat onto the grill and let it go for about a good 5 to 10 minutes, checking it every 5 minutes or so just to make sure it doesn't get any hot spots on it. Good way to check the grill also to see if there are any hot spots, any spots where the heat is just a lot hotter in that section, so where you want to steer clear of putting anything in that area so that it doesn't burn or anything. But we let it go for about 10 minutes on the first side and went ahead and flipped it over and added some additional meat onto the grill. We added in some hamburger patties, some chicken breast, and also some hot dogs and sausages, and put that all on the grill and let it go. The rib tips ended up cooking for about pretty close to 2 hours, about an hour 30, hour 45. And after the rib tips were finished cooking, we went ahead and took them off of the grill, and here is a close-up of what one of the rib tips look like. You can definitely just eat it like this, have it as a rib, but if the bones go vertically the way I'm holding it on this, so you'll be fighting around or getting around the bones of some of them. But you can also just chop them up, which is what I'm about to do now. We went ahead and just took one of the rib tips, and you can kind of see the bones sticking out on some of them, not all of them. But if you don't know where the bones are, if you stick your finger or just touch the meat, you'll feel where it's hard at, where the bones are, and you'll basically just want to cut in between those grooves to cut them up, have your little rib tips. Here's a close-up of what one of them looked like with just the dry rub seasoning that we have on it. Now, normally I'm a dry rub, no barbecue sauce type of dude. I let the meat and the flavors go like that. But we wanted to try some out with some sauce. So we took about half of the rib tips out of the pan, added them to a silicone baking dish. And we're going to hit this with some sugar-free Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. Just squirted that over top on the rib tips and gave that a quick little shake. Shook that up, and once we got it all coated and everything, basically just put this whole baking dish, this is oven safe, so we put this right back on the grill for about a good 30 minutes or so. And once they were done and the barbecue sauce had coated to the meat, took them off and put them back into the pan, and that's it. Good to go, guys. These rib tips came out very good. Just like, you can do this in an air fryer also, how we did some of the ones previously, but wanted to get some on the grill to get that flavor and that taste on it. If you guys like this recipe, feel free to hit us up. Any questions or comments, let us know in the comment section below. Enjoy. To start off this recipe here, we have our skillet. We're going to add in our ground sausage. It's whole sausage now, but we're going to grind it up. It's a pound of sausage that we added to the pan over about medium-high heat. And we took out our wooden spatula and just basically started to break this up and turn it into ground sausage. Breaking it up and to get all of the large chunks out to get as small as we can so it all breaks down. To that, we added in yellow onion. It's totally optional. You don't have to add that. You can add yellow onion and or garlic if you like, or you can just add some onion powder and garlic powder, but it's totally not needed. We're just doing it just to add extra flavor to the dish. But you go ahead and brown up all of the sausage. Once that's done, we added in 8 ounces of softened cream cheese. Go ahead and mix that all in together with our cooked ground sausage. Once that's well combined, we added in a can of tomatoes. We drained the juice out, added in a can of tomatoes with some one jalapeno. We didn't have any Rotel tomatoes, which are basically tomatoes with green chilies and a little bit of seasoning. So we just did it ourselves with a can of tomatoes and a jalapeno, adding some of our homies to it. Went ahead and mixed that in all together. And at that point, you're basically done. But we went ahead and topped it off with some additional cheddar cheese. Again, this is optional this mozzarella cheese. This is optional as well. But we want to get some more cheesiness into that. I just went ahead and just mixed that in together. This cheese mixture is very hot already, so just mixing this together and we'll get the cheese to melt. And at that point, let it simmer for about a minute or two just to fully combine, and you're good to go. Took it off the heat and added it into a large bowl. And this is your whole dip. This feeds a lot, depending on how much you make, but just that 1 pound of sausage and 8 ounces of cream cheese, this is how much sausage dip that we were able to get from just that amount. Yeah, you can serve this with celery, broccoli, carrots, anything that you want if you're not doing keto, tortilla chips or whatever. But hope you guys enjoy this recipe. If you have any questions or comments, hit us up in the comment section below and enjoy.
All right, Towners. To make these spicy air fryer buffalo wings, to start off, we have our bowl and we mixed in our seasonings. Very simple here. We just have some salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. And then we went ahead and mixed that together. While mixing it, I realized that I was going to need a little bit more salt and pepper, so I just went ahead and added that at that time. I'll have the measurements in the description box below the video. But we went ahead and mixed all the seasoning together, and then went ahead and set that to the side. And we pulled out our chicken wings. This was a large party-sized frozen bag of chicken wings that we got from the farmer's market. So we went ahead and defrosted them and went ahead and just poured our seasoning over top of that. And then hit it with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And got some gloves and just went ahead and just started mixing everything together to get the seasoning to coat all over the chicken. We have a total of about 20 wings here. We then moved that to the side and got our air fryer out, and we put in half the wings here. We put in 10 wings at a time, and just enough to layer the bottom of the air fryer. I could have put the insert in it and added the rest of the wings on top, but I just wanted to separate them to see how they do this, how they would do like this. We set the air fryer for 390, which is basically air fry mode, for 20 minutes. And here we are checking it at the halfway point, the 10-minute mark. This is how our wings look. They came out so far so good. A little crisp on them, nice color on them. So we just went ahead and just shook the basket up as opposed to just flipping each one, and shook it up and put it back in for another 10 minutes. While those were going, the remaining 10 wings that we had, we wanted to try something different on those. So we took 2 teaspoons of arrowroot flour and sprinkled that over top of the wings, and just went ahead and just mixed that all in, all over, trying to get a crisp on these to see if they will come out any differently than the wings that we just had the olive oil on them. See if get that baked crisp effect on them. So just mix these up and then sat those to the side. At this time, it was time for the first set of wings that we just have the olive oil and seasoning on, for them to come out of the air fryer. This is how they looked after 20 minutes. Here's a close-up of one of them. Has some nice color on it. You can see the seasoning sticking through, and trying to get you a good view of the wings around the tongs, because these are crazy hot. But here's a close-up of it, trying to get all sides of it. We went ahead and removed these and placed them onto a paper towel for them to dry and rest. Not that much oil on them because all the oil fell down to the bottom of the air fryer. But here are half of the wings with just the oil and seasoning. Here is the second half of the other 10 wings that we put the arrowroot flour on along with the seasoning. And same thing, put that at air fryer mode for 20 minutes and let that go. Here we are again at the 10-minute mark. Same thing, just shook the basket up to get them to move around and get color on all sides. Popped it back in for the remaining 10 minutes. Now, once those wings were done, we put them all on the same plate. The ones on the right are the ones that just have the olive oil and the seasonings. The ones on the left have the olive oil along with the arrowroot flour. And here is a close-up of those wings. Now, once the wings were done, we made a quick buffalo wing sauce. We just put in some unsalted butter into the pan, hit it with some hot sauce, season it up with some kosher salt, black pepper, some garlic powder, a splash of vinegar, and some cayenne pepper, as well as some crushed red pepper flakes. Let that go for a boil for about a minute or so, and then turn the heat down and let it simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes. After everything was well combined, gave it a test. It was good for my liking, spicy. And we had just popped in some of the wings and shook them up into the sauce to coat them, and then plated them up. These wings came out great. The sauce, the buffalo sauce, was perfect. A lot of spice on it, which I like from the cayenne pepper, and nice crisp. I really couldn't tell a difference from the wings that were done with just olive oil as opposed to the ones with the arrowroot flour. The crisp from the air fryer worked perfect on the same, so you can take that or leave it if you like. Hope you guys enjoy this recipe. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. Now let's get.
Welcome back, Towners. To start off this recipe here, we have our bread here. We went back to Aldi's. This time we were able to find the Loving Fresh keto-friendly white bread. You can see it has 11 grams of carbs and 11 grams of fiber, which basically equate down to 0 net carbs, which makes it available for keto. If you're doing strict keto, you most likely wouldn't do this bread because it has the wheat in it. But if you're doing lazy or dirty keto, then you'll want to try it out. But hey, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Went ahead and pulled out one of our homies, and we had some large jalapenos here. And went ahead and chopped that whole thing up, added that to the pan, and then we also added in some diced onions to that. These onions were frozen. If you have fresh onions, you can definitely go ahead and use that. We're just using what we have here. Went ahead and heated the pan up over about a medium high heat, and just started to cook these down and let them sweat down. We didn't add any butter or any oil to the pan. Just let this cook and saute with the natural juices that came from that, and a little bit more juice came out of these because they were frozen. Went ahead and hit these up with some kosher salt, some black pepper, and some garlic powder. Didn't add any onion powder because of the onions that we added to that, but if you didn't have any onions, you can definitely just add the onion powder there. We then went ahead and put down about a half a tablespoon or 3/4 of a tablespoon of cream cheese. This was straight out of the refrigerator, didn't melt it or anything. If you have softened cream cheese, that may help with the beginning process of helping to melt and get everything to stick together, but once that pan heats up, everything will start sticking and mixing together. We also added in some cheddar cheese to that, and then placed down 2 pieces of bread on into our top pan over low heat. Just basically wanting the bread to start the process of heating up, so that way everything will start to melt and be able to stick together once we put the sandwich together. Took the cheese mixture off of the heat, put down a pat of butter, and flipped the bread over to heat the other side, and put down a little small layer of cheese, and then put down our jalapeno popper cheese mixture over top of our sandwich to start building our grilled cheese. Let that go for about a minute or so for the cheese to melt up on the bottom layer, and that way to help get everything to stick together. Then went ahead and flipped it over to cook the other half. I noticed the pan started to get a bit hot there, so smoke started to come out of that, so I had to go ahead and turn that heat down back to low. I accidentally turned it up, but turned it back down to low and let that cook for a bit. But in doing so, that let us get a nice good brown crust on the bottom half of that. I know some people use mayonnaise. I've tried that, but I like the taste of butter. But when you do it with the mayonnaise, you don't really get any flavor out of it, but you do get a nice crisp on it. But using butter to toast the bread up, you get a nice crisp on it, and you also get some good flavor from that butter. We went ahead and took our sandwich out of the pan once it was done, and placed it onto our cutting board, and pulled out our knife and went ahead and sliced this in half. You guys can see the insides of it. Trying to hold it down a bit so that none of the bread didn't just go crazy when the cheese started to melt and slide off of the sandwich. Opened it up, and here is the inside of our sandwich. Nice ooey gooey cheesy cream cheese mixture, and those jalapenos are just popping everywhere. Here's a close-up of how our sandwich looked, and then we went ahead and just went in for a taste test for you guys. All right, guys, here's our taste test. Let's see. I know this is gonna be good. It's good. It's good. The grilled cheese came out great. Jalapeno, great spice. You know, I love that spice. Fresh jalapenos on that. You can use pickled if you like, or you don't have to use jalapenos at all if you just want the taste. But cream cheese, cheddar cheese, seasoned with a little bit of salt and pepper and garlic powder, came out great. I really like this Aldi's bread also. There's Aldi's white bread. It's different from the multigrain and the wheat bread. It's a bit softer. It's not as hard. The fresh out the bag, the other bread is a little bit harder. But this Aldi's white bread is a bit softer. Sort of like the buns that we tried out. But man, this is good. I like this. Jalapeno popper grilled cheese sandwich. Try it out, guys.
All right, guys, and that was our taste test. This sandwich came out great. I really do like the white bread from Aldi's. It's just softer and gives a better sandwich feel to your sandwich that you're having. But if you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to hit us up in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Welcome back, Towners. To start off this recipe here, we have our bread here. We went back to Aldi's. This time we were able to find the Loving Fresh keto-friendly white bread. You can see it has 11 grams of carbs and 11 grams of fiber, which basically equate down to 0 net carbs, which makes it available for keto. If you're doing strict keto, you most likely wouldn't do this bread because it has the wheat in it. But if you're doing lazy or dirty keto, then you'll want to try it out. But hey, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Went ahead and pulled out one of our homies, and we had some large jalapenos here, and went ahead and chopped that whole thing up, added that to the pan, and then we also added in some diced onions to that. These onions were frozen. If you have fresh onions, you can definitely go ahead and use that. We're just using what we have here. Went ahead and heated the pan up over about a medium high heat, and just started to cook these down and let them sweat down. We didn't add any butter or any oil to the pan. Just let this cook and saute with the natural juices that came from that, and a little bit more juice came out of these because they were frozen. Went ahead and hit these up with some kosher salt, some black pepper, and some garlic powder. Didn't add any onion powder because of the onions that we added to that, but if you didn't have any onions, you can definitely just add the onion powder there. We then went ahead and put down about a half a tablespoon or 3/4 of a tablespoon of cream cheese. This was straight out of the refrigerator. It didn't melt it or anything. If you have softened cream cheese, that may help with the beginning process of helping to melt and get everything to stick together. But once that pan heats up, everything will start sticking and mixing together. We also added in some cheddar cheese to that, and then placed down 2 pieces of bread on into our top pan over low heat. Just basically wanting the bread to start the process of heating up, so that way everything will start to melt and be able to stick together once we put the sandwich together. Took the cheese mixture off of the heat, put down a pat of butter, and flipped the bread over to heat the other side, and put down a little small layer of cheese, and then put down our jalapeno popper cheese mixture over top of our sandwich to start building our grilled cheese. Let that go for about a minute or so for the cheese to melt up on the bottom layer, and that way to help get everything to stick together. Then went ahead and flipped it over to cook the other half. I noticed the pan started to get a bit hot there, so smoke started to come out of that, so I had to go ahead and turn that heat down back to low. I accidentally turned it up, but turned it back down to low and let that cook for a bit. But in doing so, that let us get a nice good brown crust on the bottom half of that. I know some people use mayonnaise. I've tried that, but I like the taste of butter. But when you do it with the mayonnaise, you don't really get any flavor out of it, but you do get a nice crisp on it. But using butter to toast the bread up, you get a nice crisp on it, and you also get some good flavor from that butter. We went ahead and took our sandwich out of the pan once it was done, and placed it onto our cutting board, and pulled out our knife and went ahead and sliced this in half. You guys can see the insides of it. Trying to hold it down a bit so that none of the bread didn't just go crazy when the cheese started to melt and slide off of the sandwich. Opened it up, and here is the inside of our sandwich. Nice ooey gooey cheesy cream cheese mixture, and those jalapenos are just popping everywhere. Here's a close-up of how our sandwich looked, and then we went ahead and just went in for a taste test for you guys. Today we're making tortilla chips out of cheese. We started out with, we had about 8 slices of cheese, and we cut these up into sections, triangle pieces to mimic a tortilla chip. You can use any type of cheese that you want. This is Colby Jack. You can use mozzarella, you can use cheddar, you can use Monterey Jack, whatever you like, provolone, mozzarella. We then took some parchment paper and sprayed it with some baking spray just to make sure that they didn't stick. And then we started to line them on the baking tray. Try to space them out a bit. Try to make sure that they don't touch. When they melt, some of them may spread out a little bit and they may end up touching. But at the end result, once they dry, they'll be very easy to break apart. You just don't want them to go into a huge ball so it all becomes like one big chip. If it did do that, you may have to basically get out your knife again and then basically recut the pieces. To season these, you can do salt and pepper or whatever seasonings that you like. I decided to use this Flavor Guide taco seasoning, which is basically a basic taco seasoning recipe without any salt in it. Without any sugar in it. And we sprinkled this all over the chips. We baked this in the oven at 250 degrees for 40 minutes. And this was our end result. They kept their shape for the most part. They didn't really break up or anything. And they had a bit of a crunch to them. The longer you bake them, the harder they'll get. And we basically turned these into nachos. This was great. This is the first time I pretty much was able to get that sort of crunch that I'm looking for in nachos or anything. Hope you guys try out this recipe. It was very delicious. Thanks for watching. Please like. Alright, to start off this recipe, we have our skillet and we added some oil to it. Once that was heated up, we added in some sliced onions and mini sweet peppers. I actually was totally out of jalapenos, so I was like, man, I don't have any, so no jalapenos on this one. But then we put in our tortilla into the pan to heat up one side of that. Once that one side was heated, we removed that out of the pan and then laid down a layer of mozzarella cheese straight onto the pan. And then we put our tortilla on top of that heated side facing up to melt the top layer of the cheese, to just helping to make it easier to melt, so that way the heat didn't have to penetrate through everything in order to melt everything in the inside of it. We then layered that with some cheese, some roasted chicken, the rotisserie chicken that we cooked in the roaster oven in the previous episode, and then topped that off with the onions and peppers. And then added some crushed red peppers. That was our heat, since we didn't have any jalapenos. And then topped that off with a little bit more cheese. Then we tried to get underneath the pan to loosen it up. I think it might be time for me to get another pan. This one, it's not releasing as easy as it previously used to when I first got it. But we were able to get it over, and you can see the nice golden cheese crust that's on the outside of the quesadilla. We then folded it over to start the cooking process, help to cook the inside of the cheese and melt everything inside it, so that way I can be all ooey gooey. Once the quesadilla was pretty much complete, we were able to make sure it was released from the pan properly, and then we removed it from our pan. This was our final product. You can see the nice crusted cheese ring around the outside of the quesadilla, just like a huge taco basically. It came out very nice, nice crispy. Cheese inside was melted well, nice flavors from the onions and peppers, and the rotisserie roasted chicken that we had. I used the hot lemon pepper chicken on this one, and this is cutting and showing the inside of that. Not sure where I was trying to use a fork. This is something you want to eat with your hands and see it was falling apart. But if anybody likes this recipe, please let me know in the comment section below. Any other questions or options or anything else you'd like to throw inside of it. Thank you guys for watching. All right, guys, to start off this recipe, we have our baking tray and a raised rack with some aluminum foil underneath it for easy cleanup. We placed out our chicken legs. We have about 16 chicken legs here, and we spaced them out evenly on the pan. Season them up with some kosher salt and some black pepper. Flip them over and repeated the process, kosher salt and black pepper. At this point I realized, I was like, why am I doing it this way and keep flipping it and seasoning when I can just put it into a large bowl and do it a lot faster and easier that way. So I took all the wings off, all the chicken legs off, and put them into a bowl and sprinkled on some of our Cooking with the Town 2 all-purpose no salt seasoning, as well as our Cooking with the Town 2 lemon garlic seasoning. And then we poured some olive oil over top of that. We then went ahead and mixed everything all together, which was a lot faster than the process we were previously doing. And then put our baking tray back down and sprayed that with some olive oil cooking spray. And then placed all of our wings. I keep saying wings. We placed all of our chicken legs back onto the baking tray, spaced out evenly as best as we can so that we can get some good airflow and that they'll cook evenly. And we placed those in the oven at 425 degrees. This is how they looked at the halfway point. This is about at the 25-minute mark. We went ahead and took them out of the oven and flipped them over. Then placed them back in the oven to continue cooking. While we had our chicken legs in the oven cooking after we flipped them over, it was then time to start working on our sauce. This here we have a half stick of butter, and we put that over some medium heat. And then we poured in a half a cup of some hot sauce. Choose your favorite, your flavor that you like. Then we seasoned it up with some onion powder, some garlic powder, and some lemon pepper seasoning. And just continued to cook that until the butter melted and the sauce came to a boil. After it came to a boil, it was pretty much done. We just put a lid over and set it to the side while the chicken finished cooking. This is how the chicken looked after we finished cooking it. It took about 50 minutes to cook this all the way through. When it reached up to 170 degrees. We took 8 of the legs off. We had about 16 in total. We took 8 of them off, put them into a large bowl, and squirted over some sugar-free barbecue sauce over top of it. The sauce was pretty thick, so I didn't think I would be able to shake. Well, I could shake them up, but I don't think they'd do that well in coating them. So I just took out a brush and painted the sauce all over the chicken legs. And once we got a good coating of that, we went ahead and put that back onto the baking tray. And the rest of the legs, we poured some half of the sauce over top of those. These were able to be shook around and shaken up just like chicken wings because the sauce was a lot thinner, and got a nice coating over the wings, over the legs. After they were fully coated, we went ahead and placed those back on the baking tray as well. And this is how they looked. We then popped those back into the oven for about 4 to 5 minutes. And this is how they looked after that 5-minute mark. And then we went ahead and coated them again with the sauce. And this is how they looked, final products. We have the hot lemon pepper chicken legs on top and our barbecue chicken legs on the bottom. These came out great, came out very well. The flavor of them tasted great, just like chicken wings, just bigger. I mean, truthfully, like going forward, if I'm having like a party or whenever COVID and the rest of the world goes back to normal, if I'm having a party or a gathering or something, I might just make chicken legs because, for one, they're a heck of a lot cheaper than wings. I mean, all these wings, I got all these wings at Walmart. I got all these chicken legs for $3 or like 50 cents a pound, something like that. And a great price. Now, I mean, normally you're having a party or something, somebody will eat 10, 12 wings or whatever, and you gotta make a lot of them. If you sit there and eat 12 chicken legs at any gathering, party, or for dinner, that's a bit much. But yeah, the flavor was great. Here's a close-up of the hot lemon pepper chicken legs that we have, and nice flavor, a lot of meat on it. You know, you don't have to work as hard to get all the meat off the bone and everything like that. Even though people like that part of eating chicken wings, but just try this, you know. If anyone has any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. All right, guys, to start off this recipe, we have our vegetables here. We have a yellow onion, some of our homies, 2 jalapenos, and also 2 serrano peppers, and 2 cloves of garlic. We went ahead and chopped up all of these vegetables and set them to the side. Now we have our hamburger meat. This was about 2 3/4 pounds of almost 3 pounds of hamburger meat. We went ahead and added that to a bowl and then added our vegetables to it and seasoned that with some kosher salt, a bunch of black pepper, and some chili powder. Then we also chopped up some mini sweet peppers and added that to our mix as well. Then we went ahead and now it's time to get our hands dirty and mixed up all of the hamburger meat and incorporated the seasonings and the vegetables all throughout the meat. Now we're forming our burgers. We were able to get about 11 burgers out of this. So these burgers basically were about a quarter pound each before cooking. Some of the peppers and onions fell off of the burgers, so we were basically just pressing them in and smashing them just get them compacted inside the burger. We took out our large skillet here and added in, on the first round, we were able to get about 7 burgers into the pan. And we seasoned that, topped it off with some additional crushed red pepper flakes for some additional heat. We seared this hard on the first half for about 2 to 3 minutes. Basically just try to get a good sear on it for enough for the burgers to keep their shape, because they were kind of falling apart a bit. They were a little bit loose. So we wanted to get a good sear on it before we flipped them or touched them so that they'll hold their shape and wouldn't break apart. We went ahead and cooked those for an additional 2 to 3 minutes on the other half. Once they were done, we went ahead and removed them from the pan. We made sure that we got and scraped out all of those bits and pieces of vegetables that fell off, all of the all of the jalapenos and onions, basically those flavor bombs. Make sure we got that out of the pan to save those. And put in the rest of the remaining 4 burgers into the pan. Same process, cooked them for about 2 to 3 minutes on the first half, enough for them to hold their shape, and flipped them and finished them off. This was some 80-20 hamburger meat, so quite a bit of grease came off of those, but we went ahead and topped those off with some provolone cheese, put a lid on it to dome it, to steam them. Opened them up and got a nice little facial of steam. And then once the cheese is melted, remove those burgers from the pan as well. This is how all of our burgers looked after we finished cooking them, adding the provolone cheese to all of them. You can see the pile of little bits of jalapenos that we saved at the top. And to make our burger, we now have some of the 0 carb keto friendly bread that we found at Lidl. We added in some olive oil mayo to the bread and added some yellow mustard. I like mustard, so I added it on both slices. Added some baby spinach, as well as some Roma tomato slices. We placed our burger onto the bread and topped that off with some sugar-free ketchup. I know some people that do not like ketchup, or some people who don't like mayo or mustard. So this is just a guide. This is how I made my burger. Go ahead and feel free to add or remove any toppings that you like. We went ahead and took a knife and sliced our burger in half. And this is how our burger looked. We basically just cut it in half and added on some serrano peppers to the side. And this burger came out very nice. Using the bread again, missing the bread for a while now, I have it back, so I've been using it for quite a few things. You can definitely use this as a lettuce wrap. You can use cheese. You can use a multitude of different things that you want to use instead of bread. This will definitely be considered dirty keto or lazy keto. But this burger came out very nice. Having the jalapenos all throughout basically added a bunch of flavor to it. It wasn't overpowering or anything because the heat of it cooked out a bit while cooking it. Here we are doing a taste test. This is our first run at it, first take, close up of the meat. Took a big bite of it, and I didn't use this clip because I had a large glob of mayo and mustard on the side of my mouth that didn't realize was there the whole time. So went ahead and just cut that, and here's our second take. As you can see, the burger's gone. I knocked it out. Wasn't nothing left, the remaining of it. But here's our second take. Another process, just took a large bite of it. Also chomped on some of the serrano peppers on the side. But again, this burger was very nice. The jalapenos all throughout it was great. Mini peppers and onions, seasoned well with the salt and pepper to bring out the natural flavors of the meat. And using the bread, came out great. I got this recipe from a friend, Mandrell, who we affectionately call Country because he's from the country and he tells everybody that. But he makes a turkey burger like this with mini sweet peppers and a bunch of other ingredients in it, and they just fall apart a lot on the grill. So I had to show them how to basically help them keep their shape. But this is just a homage to the burger he makes with my version. We just adding jalapenos to it because I like the heat. But this came out very good. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'm going to finish knocking out this burger. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Cooking with the Talented. Today we're gonna make jalapeno burgers. Let's get it. First we're gonna add jalapenos and burgers. Enjoy. Please subscribe. Enjoy.
Hey Towners, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. All ingredients and directions are listed in the description box below each video. And as always, thank you guys for watching.